Zo, en na dit feestelijke moment gaan we over naar een volgende gast. En ik schakel daarvoor even over in het Engels. Duncan, welcome.
Hello.
Welcome in our show.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly. Thank you very much.
Hello, good to see you. Some Disney characters behind, great. Duncan, first of all, Head of Innovation, Creativity at Disney. Wow, it seems like a dream job. What can you tell? Was it?
Mad ideas are us. Yeah, it was fantastic, no? Because nothing was the barrier. I think the madder the idea, the more extreme it was, the more we got encouragement to go do it. And I think, no, it was a dream job. It was helping Pixar, Lucasfilms, ESPN, Marvel come up with new storylines or theme park rides or new ideas. And really, it was just to help stop everybody thinking the way they always think and help them think differently. And for most of us, that's quite hard.
Okay, clear, thanks. And there were some things that intrigued me. One of the things you did was you went for the most prominent, let's say, consumer pain point within Disney, and you found a solution to deal with it. You did that on a quite specific Duncan way. And from the perspective, what if that pain point was not any longer around us? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, it's Walt actually came up with the idea. When Walt Disney created Disneyland, he said we will not have any employees. We will only have cast members. We will not have any customers in our park. We'll only have guests. And with that simple expression of the challenge, people thought very differently about the world of hospitality. Now, fast forward to 2011, and if we'd asked ourselves the question that everybody continues to ask themselves, how might we make more money? Which I think is a big mistake because Generation Z cares more about purpose than profit. But if we'd said how might we make more money, we could have put the gate price up at a park by 3%. People would have complained, they would have still come, and we'd have met our quarterly results. But that's called iteration, not innovation. But instead, we turned the challenge on its head. Instead of saying how might we make more money, we said how might we solve the biggest consumer pain point? Well, everybody knew what it was. It was standing in line. So we said, what if we could eliminate the lines? What if we could take away the front desks in all of our hotels, the turnstile at the front of the parks, the need to stand in line for your favorite attractions or your character meet and greets or to pay for merchandise or pay for food? If you know how to do it, it's iteration. If it scares you, it's innovation. And we looked around the world and sure enough, RFID technology had been in the market for about 5 years. Now, when you come to Walt Disney World on holiday, you get a magic band before you arrive. It is your room key. There's no need to check in or check out of your hotels. It's your theme park ticket. You swipe and go. You have your reservations for your favorite character meet and greets or your favorite attractions on your major band. You swipe and go. To pay for merchandise, I touch it once, it goes to my hotel room. I touch it twice, it goes to my house. I save my food on my smartphone. The restaurant knows I'm coming in, it knows what I've ordered, and the food comes fresh to me. Had we have started by saying, how might we make more money? We'd have put the price up by 3% and met our quarterly results. But simply by reversing the challenge and saying, how might we solve the biggest consumer pain point? The average guest at Walt Disney World today has about 2 hours free time they didn't have 4 years ago. What has that resulted in? Record revenues, record spend on food and beverage, record spend on merchandise, and data collection. 25 million visits a year, every second of every day, are telling Disney what they like and what they don't like, and are essentially crowdsourcing the future products and services Disney creates simply but through crowdsourcing.
So great. So the magic band, it worked. It was really a very good solution in many ways, in many areas. And a second thing you mentioned before was you wanted to find out how clients work and how clients think. And you did quite a, let's say, well, a special solution.
So yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Today we all look in our data, but if we're only looking in our data, we're only looking where our competition is looking. So how will you find that one insight for innovation? More often than not, it's by not just relying on your data, but also spending time with your consumer. We say we're product-centric organizations. Well, when was the last time you spent a day with your consumer? So the task was set to us by Disneyland Paris. It was how might we get more people to come more often and spend more money? Our going-in hypotheses based on our data told us who could afford a visit, who had an affinity to the brand, who'd been shopping online, and who was a 10 out of 10 of I'm coming this year, but they hadn't come. So my intuition told me, by the way, you have 100 billion neurons in your first brain, you have 100 million neurons in your second brain. It's called your intuition. It's a remarkably amazing computer. But my intuition told me these people were either lying to us or they were procrastinators because they said they were coming, they were 10, but they didn't come. So I thought, let's go find out what our data is missing. So we went and spent a day with our consumer. So let me ask you a question before we do it. Again, our going in hypothesis was We build it, they will come. We'll spend $240 million on a new attraction, you'll come. Why? Because that's the way we've always done it here. But here's what we found out. Let me ask you a question. Do you have children?
All right, so unfortunately, I'm a little bit in the dark here due to the sound, but you had a question?
Yeah, do you have children?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so close your eyes for me.
Yeah.
And I want you to picture a photograph of your children somewhere in your house, a particular room, and tell us which room. Keep your eyes closed. Tell us what photograph that room is in.
I have to picture a photograph?
Yeah, of your children.
Yeah, I have.
Okay, which room is the photograph in?
In which room?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a kind of in between room. Sorry, yeah, a hallway.
Okay. So tell us who's in the photograph.
My oldest daughter and son,
Okay, and what are their names?
Zola and Boas.
Zola and Boas. And how old were they the day the photograph was taken?
Wow. I think about 3 and 4, 2 and 4,
Sure. And how old are they today?
17 and 15.
Okay, so that's perfect. So here's what we found. I was in one lady's house living with her, and I saw the photograph of the 3 or 4-year-old children, and I said, "Hey, how old are your children? 3 or 4?" She said, "No, 14 or 15." I thought, my intuition told me there's something there. Do we not print photographs of our children anymore? Yes, we do. We print bar mitzvahs, graduations, weddings. So we were missing something. So we went back and asked again, and here's what parents will tell you. They want the children to grow up, to go to high school, college, graduate, be happy, healthy, and successful. Or do they? Or do they actually? Do you really want your little children back when they were 3 or 4? When you walk in the door at night, you're still a god, you're a superhero. Now you're lucky if they grump when you walk through the door. So we thought there was something here our data's not telling us. So we went back and pushed a bit harder. And they told us about 3 bittersweet transitions that take place between a parent and a child. They described them all, these mums. But I'm a dad and I've got intuition. The first bittersweet transition for me was when my son was 10. He came around the bedroom door. It was Christmas Eve. His eyes were half full of tears. And he said, are you Santa Claus? And in that one split second, imagination, creativity, clouds gone. But what had hurt so much was what he'd really said was, which I'm not your little boy anymore, Daddy, I'm growing up. Now, dads will remember where they were for the second bittersweet transition. Girls will not. I know exactly where I was the day my daughter dropped my hand in public for the first time. Because she didn't want to hold Daddy's hand in public anymore. And I remember the third one was when we packed her off to college. We went up, we put her in a room, we laughed, we packed, we waved goodbye, and then my wife and I got in the car and cried our eyes out all the way to the airport. Going in, we thought that if we spend $240 million on a new capital investment, they would come. Why? Because that's what our data was telling us. But by simply spending a day with a consumer, we found out what was truly important to her. Mum does not wake up in the morning worried about whether or not Disney has got new attractions this year. Mum wakes up every day worried about how quickly her children are growing and how she wants to make special memories for them while they still believe, while they still hold my hand, while they're still here. That was a segmented communication campaign, not a capital investment strategy, one that saved us from spending $240 million on a product she didn't want, one that drove record results and turned a very product-centric, we know best culture into a consumer-centric culture, where it is now mandatory for every Disney executive to spend 1 day a year working in a frontline position in a Disney theme park and 1 day a year in the living room of one of their consumers. And I would suggest to all the executives who haven't done that for a long, long, long time, if ever, I would suggest you go do it. You'll be amazed at the insights for innovation you can find.
Amazing example, Duncan. Thanks. So back to your basic belief, because basically you believe innovation and creativity is in everyone. What is your key advice, or maybe even your secret, to amplify that power in people?
Two things. I believe everybody is creative. I'm on a mission to prove it. How do I know it? Because when you were a little boy and you got a gift for Christmas, it came in an enormous box. It took you ages to get the toy out of the box. But what did you spend the next 5 days playing with? The box. It was your spaceship, it was your castle, it was your fort, it was your rocket ship. When you were a little boy, you used to ask why, and why again. Children are better than your data and your consumer insights team at getting insights for innovation, because they don't stop at the first why. So if you ask, why do you go to Disney? People say, I go for the rides. Well, that tells me, as I mentioned, to spend millions of dollars on new attractions. But if I said, well, why do you go for the rides? Well, I like Small World. Why is that important to you? I used to go with my mum. Why is that significant to you? I remember the music. How is that? Why is that important today? I go with my daughter. On the fifth why, you just got to the Insight for Innovation. She's not coming for your new attractions. She's coming for her personal memory and nostalgia. That's a communication campaign, not a capital investment strategy. We're all born with intuition. I talked about that. And we're all born with an amazing imagination. You dream every year that Holland will win the World Cup this year, but they haven't. But guess what? You still dream it. Here's the thing. You were born creative. You're born with intuition. You're born with curiosity, and you're born with an imagination. In the next 10 years, artificial intelligence is scheduled to take away 20 to 30% of the jobs in the marketplace. But so how will we compete with artificial intelligence 10 years from now? By using the things we were born with that we were told were not important, because you cannot program creativity, imagination, curiosity, and intuition. Those will become the most employable skill sets of the next decade simply because they can't be programmed.
Super. Thanks for sharing that too, Duncan. Let's see if there's some questions from the audience, from the satellite events. Now the viewers, Robert, can you tell us?
Yes, Maarten, thank you. And hi, Duncan. Nice to hear your story. Before I move over to the questions from the audience to you, I'd like to remind the audience that soon I'll be raising a quiz question. And with that, you can win a ticket for an extensive workshop from you set up by Denkproducties and hosted on November 5th. So please make sure that you keep your SendSteps website close to you. And then for now, I move indeed over to the questions. Duncan. So somebody, first of all, says, he or she says, like, I love the statement, if it frightens you, it's innovation. So thanks for that on behalf of that person. And then a more, different question. Somebody is writing, good ideas often don't come at work. Well, since we're all working remotely at our homes these days, do you expect a boost in creativity?
Yeah, so if I were to ask you, actually I'll ask you, where are you and what are you doing when you get your best ideas? What would you tell me?
Where I'm located physically, you mean?
No, where are you normally when you get your best ideas? Where are you and what are you doing?
And not behind my desk. I'm cycling, I'm in a cafe, something like that, yeah.
So we hear, I've done a survey of 3,000 people. We hear cycling, walking, commuting, waking up, falling asleep, playing. You never hear the words at work. Well, why is that? Well, if you picture the last verbal argument you were in with somebody, you're very angry, they're screaming at you, and you walk away from that argument, you get a coffee, it's 5 minutes after the argument's over, you're beginning to relax, and what just popped into your head? The killer one-liner, that one perfect line that you wished you'd used during the argument, but you didn't. Why? Because when your brain is in an argument, it's very busy defending itself the whole time. When you're in the office and at work, you're doing meetings, you're scheduling, you're doing outlooks, you're traveling, you're talking to me, and we hear ourselves say, I don't have time to think. But the moment you walked into the shower or you walked away from the argument, you came up with a big idea or the killer one-liner. Why is that? Why does it work that way? Because, believe it or not, there's a door between your conscious and subconscious brain. The scientific term is your reticular activating system. I call it a door because people can remember it. When you're stressed at work, that door is closed and you can't access your subconscious brain, which is 87% of the capacity of your brain. 87% of your brain is subconscious. You're only working with 13% for the majority of the day. But the moment you gave yourself time to think, boom, you open that door between your conscious and subconscious brain and you have access to the other 87%. Every innovation challenge you've ever worked on, everything that you saw was creative. And so I actually run exercises with people because we can't take showers to the office. That wouldn't be very politically correct. But I run an energizer. An energizer is an exercise that lasts usually 60 seconds. What am I doing? I'm listening for laughter. Why am I listening for laughter? Because the moment I hear laughter, I know I've opened the door between your conscious and subconscious brain, and you can have those big ideas on demand.
Great. Well, thanks for that advice. And from here, we all have a good excuse to go cycling more or to go shower more. So that's good. Thank you so much. But please stay with us. As I told the audience, we're going to give away a prize, actually 5 tickets for a more extensive workshop. We only have limited time today, but you'll be back on November 5th. So how can you participate? Of course, until now, all the questions were raised anonymously. But please, for this question, fill out your name and your mobile number, so one of these days you'll be called back, because the people that will have the correct answer and also react the quickest will win one of the 5 tickets to get the workshop from Duncan Wardle. So once you've done so, filled out your information, then here comes the quiz question. And obviously, that's about Disney theme parks, because there's 12 around the world. But which of the following 6 cities there is no Disney park? So you see them listed: Hong Kong, Paris, Anaheim, Miami, Shanghai, and Tokyo. And one of these cities doesn't have a Disney park. Well, we see already 28 votes coming in. I already told you that we will also be selecting on speed. So be very quick, because in the coming 3 seconds, we will show you the results. And let's have a look at the results. So the correct answer is indeed Miami, because in Miami there is no Disney park. Close by, in Orlando, there is a Disney park. So let's have a look at the winners. Maika Kobussen, Ilse Muis, Camille Put, and Cleo Vissers. They all win. And Paul Schreuder, the teacher that we just spoke to a minute ago, he also wins a ticket for your workshop. Thank you so much for your contribution, Duncan Wardle.
Thanks very much for having me. I look forward to meeting Ilse Muis.
Very good. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.